Well, there is an old, beautiful home in the town that I live in. I live in Brighton, Michigan. Oh, spring has arrived. It's beautiful out. And it's probably early 1900s home. It's getting a major remodeling project done to it. It's got these white pillars out front, 2 stories tall. They're putting a big addition onto the back of it, redoing the siding, and looks like a lot of interior work as well. I drive by it often. And being in the business I am, which is a business coach for remodelers, I usually take note and enjoy kind of watching from afar the process of a project going on. And I have been watching as the seasons have changed, as time and time and time has happened, and some slow progress, yet progress has been made. As I think about it, I have no doubt that the project at the end of the day is going to be beautiful. It looks like they know what they're doing, the touches they've been doing, the new pillars, everything's looking quite beautiful. But I, as a business coach, have some concerns. I'm going to address those here in a second. But turning from this project in Brighton, Michigan to you, I heard through the grapevine about that major kitchen remodeling project that you just finished. As I heard about it, I heard from the client, I heard from some of your team that the project turned out quite beautifully, that you were able to turn their vision and their design into something that looks wonderful. And that doesn't surprise me. Your team is skilled. You are skilled. You also have high standards. You have expectations. The reason you've been in business all these years and you have a lot of happy clients is because you deliver a great end result for your clients. Okay. So where are you going with this, Kyle? Here's where I'm going with this. I could say one of the, or we might just be more definitive, the hardest and most important aspects, the hardest and most important aspect of running your remodeling business is not doing the beautiful job and delivering a beautiful project. You can do that. You've proven you can do that. The biggest challenge is doing that while still protecting your gross profit, while still being solidly profitable on the project, while having all of these cost of goods sold directly related to that project and this number that you're expecting to have in cost of goods sold and gross profit, and actually producing and delivering the project while keeping your cost of goods sold where you expected them to be and keeping and holding on, if not adding grippage, making more than what you're expecting in gross profit. That, my friends, is one of the hardest and most important aspects of you running a successful remodeling business. And I know this because I've worked with hundreds of remodelers at this point. My sweet girl just turned 15 the other day. And we have 4 kids, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. That first girl is now 15. And when we were pregnant with her name's Piper, that's when I quit my job and started my business. So I've been doing this for 15 years. I've worked with a lot of remodelers and making sure that we are paying attention to what we're making on each project, protecting our gross profit, and digging into job costing is vitally, vitally important. Job costing, I'm just going to rant on it. This is what today's episode is about, just kind of ranting a little bit on job costing. Job costing needs to be a very high priority for you in your day in and day out work. You've got to fight for the time to review your job costing closely. You have to fight and get your systems wrangled in so that you can quickly and effectively see what your costs are compared to what you're expecting, your expected cost versus your actual cost, your expected gross profit on this project versus your actual gross profit. You need to be able to run reports and see that clearly. I had a conversation yesterday with somebody that was a podcast listener. Did you know that some people listen to this podcast? They listen to it for quite a while. They implement some things that they hear that I'm teaching. And then sometimes they reach out to me and say, Kyle, I need more help. That's what this gentleman was doing here recently. And I had a good conversation with him yesterday. He is growing his business quickly. He's gone from a very small business to having double-digit employees pretty quick. He is delivering for clients pretty well. The problem is the money that he's expecting to be in his bank account seems to continue to evaporate and disappear. We talked about what his markup is. It's too low. But even beyond that, the biggest problem is that he has way too much slippage on his projects. Does this sound familiar? You are expecting to make $20,000 of gross profit, and you end up with $10,000. You end up with $8,000. We have too much slippage on projects. This happens when we are not paying attention to our job costing. Your job costing has a ripple effect in your business. When you are paying attention to your job costing and you understand expected versus actual, you improve your estimating. When you're watching your job costing closely, you realize that that 30 labor hours that you put in there for demo, it wasn't enough. We took 45 hours on that, and frankly, I think they kicked butt on it. It wasn't that they were being lazy. It's that your estimating was crummy. I almost said piss poor because I'm starting to rev up here a little bit in this rant. I'm going to say it, piss poor. Geez, Kyle, why you got to cuss like that? I thought you were a pretty clean podcast. They're going to put explicit next to your podcast if you keep talking like that. The estimator was piss poor. And if you're watching your job costing closely at each phase and paying attention to that, you become a better estimator. You realize that you didn't put enough in for the permit fee. You realize that you forgot the trim around that door. You realize when you dig into your job costing, all of these little things, sometimes big things that you're missing in your estimating, job costing helps you become a better estimator. And when you fix those gaps in your estimating, not only are you improving your business, but you're going to be more profitable project after project forever and ever because you're more aware of it. Too many of you are moving too quickly, not paying attention to your job costing, and therefore not becoming a better estimator because you're not paying attention to the details. Yes, you are creating beautiful projects. Question is your job costing just as beautiful? Or did you create this beautiful project, and when I look at the job cost report on it, it looks hideous? That's a challenge, folks. That's a challenge. I'm trying to shake you up a little bit. I'm trying to get you to think more and more about the importance of job costing. Job costing ripples into your estimating. It gives you confidence when you're selling. You know what things cost. You know what you need to charge in order for this project to be at the gross profit that you need it to be at. Job costing gives you more clarity of where your money is going. The gentleman I just talked to yesterday, he doesn't know where the money's going because he's not looking at his job costing. I was able to hypothesize based on my experience and what I was hearing that he's got slippage like crazy on his projects. He's quoting 100 hours for that phase. It's taken him 140. He's not getting a fixed price from the plumber, and the plumber's bill is coming in $1,200 more than what he put in his proposal. He's not looking at his job costing closely and realizing all these little gaps and all this little slippage that's happening. When you watch your job costing, you have clarity on where the money is going. When you're watching your job costing, you can see much more clearly which projects are the most and least profitable. This is important information, strategic information for you to consider in running a successful remodeling business. Which projects are the most profitable versus the least profitable? Job costing helps you be more purposeful with that, or you might try to attract more of the projects that your team excels at and that's more profitable for you, and maybe shy away from the projects that aren't. You sure you want to take that deck project on? That's really labor heavy. You're not getting much markup on any materials or trade partners. You're eating into a lot of your limited in-house labor hours. What does your job cost report say? What strategic decision are you going to make, Mr. and Mrs. Remodeler? Think about these things. And when you got job costing, you can clearly see grippage and slippage. If I'm expecting to make $10,000 of gross profit on a project, and I look at my job costs and I actually made $11,000 of gross profit, this is good, and we have grippage. You made more than what you were expecting. Other times we have the opposite where we're making less than what we were expecting. That's called slippage. Need to pay attention to that. And to go one step back, when I say gross profit, please, 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 if you're not sure what gross profit means, it's time for you to get studying. Get your head out of Facebook. Get your head out of stupid social media. Don't Netflix tonight. You need to go watch some videos that I've produced, listen to podcasts I've produced, or just listen to this on repeat of what is gross profit again? How does that work? When you look at your profit and loss statement, you got revenue coming in, total revenue at the top, minus cost of goods sold, labor, materials, trade partners, equals gross profit. That number I want you to be obsessed with. I want you to pay attention to that. I want you to look at that percentage. That's a margin number. Markup and margin, you're not sure about that? Study it. There's 1,000 resources that will show you exactly how markup and margin work. Study it. Know it. You're a professional remodeler. Man, I'm being rude, but I said I was going to rant. You're a professional remodeler. Act like one. You're a business owner. Your family is being supported by this business. You have all of these team members around you. You need to understand how markup and margin works. You need to understand how gross profit works. This is the difference between running a remodeling business that does okay, that's pretty stressful, that's not really making a lot of money, and transforming it into one that really enables you to live a lifestyle, to generate the revenue that you need, to reduce the stress, to hire new team members, to reduce the overall stress, and just for you to be running a business that you're not just proud of the finished product, but you're proud of the business you've created. There is a difference between those two. It is very rare that I find a remodeler who's not proud of the workmanship that they and their team are doing. But you want to be equally as proud of the business you've created, the business of remodeling. And I'm telling you, based on my 15 years of experience, did I tell you that my baby girl's 15? She's so beautiful, and she's a young lady, and I want her to be 5 again. But she's 15, because I've been doing this for 15 years. And I don't know where I was going with that. I got distracted. You know what I'm talking about. All right. Job costing, so important. Be as proud of that. And I know that's where I was going with it. And I know that job costing is an incredibly important aspect of running a profitable remodeling business because I've been doing this for 15 years. When you start to watch these little dollars and cents and see how they play together, you become such a more strong, solid remodeler. Okay, so that's a little ranting related to job costing. Do I have your attention? Are you going to wrestle with this more? Are you going to take that project that you're on and run a job cost report on it? Are you going to take that project that you recently finished and wrestle and wrangle with the data you need in order to be able to compare expected versus actual? Let me close with this. These are the pieces that you need. Number one, you need your expected cost and your expected gross profit. Look at your proposal and make sure you can clearly see for all of the labor and materials and trade partners that you can clearly see what your expected cost is. And based on seeing what your revenue is minus those cost of goods sold, what your expected gross profit is. There's no reason that you shouldn't know that information. I also like you to, number two, have your expected in-house labor hours. So I want to see your expected cost and gross profit and your expected in-house labor hours. Let's put more focus and energy towards tracking your in-house labor hours. Share it with your team. Let them know, especially your lead. Let them know how many hours you have in and give them something to aim for. Pay attention to that. So those are the first two things. And then the other things we need for our job costing, number three, is your actual cost and gross profit. What is your actual cost for labor on that project? One little tidbit. That cost should be your full employee labor burden. That should be your cost of what you pay them, plus their taxes, plus workers' comp, plus other miscellaneous benefits they have as an employee of yours. Your full employee labor burden. Another side note, Kyle, I don't know how to calculate my employee labor burden. Email Bailey at remodelers.on-the-rise.com. She will send you a little 6-minute training and a spreadsheet to help you do that. Okay. Your actual cost and gross profit. So labor. And then pretty easily, you should be able to see what your actual material cost is and what your actual trade partner cost is. Then it gets exciting. Compare the expected versus actual. Why is your actual $1,000 more in materials than what you were expecting? Dig in and study it. Learn from it. Look at your trade partners. Why are we actually $500 less on trade partners? Oh, well, this ended up costing a little bit less. Cool. We got $500 of grippage. And pay attention to your labor. When you're paying attention to these things, you can see where the numbers are coming in. It helps you be such a much more successful remodeling business owner. And sometimes you have to hack these reports together. We want to work towards having this very streamlined where we can click a button and see a report, but start by just hacking it together. You might have to manually write some things out. You may say, well, I can print out a report that shows me all my materials. I'll plug that in over here. I'll compare it. Do whatever you need to get to your actual. And if you're a few steps behind there and you're sitting there going, Kyle, when we plug things into QuickBooks, we don't even tag them to specific jobs. I just have $200,000 of materials that's just all in one big fat line item that says materials. I can't run a job cost report. That's a problem. You need to fix that problem. We need to be able to run a report that shows how much materials are actually spent on each individual job. This is doable. There's versions of QuickBooks to do it. There's software out there, whether you're using, yes, there's software out there, okay? So those are the pieces when it comes to job costing. So a couple final thoughts. One, if you're already doing job costing, mazel tov, wonderful, keep it up. There's probably another level or two of dialing that in and consistency in reviewing it and digging in that you can do. Do it. If you're sitting here going, I need to do that more, Kyle, man, you were convicting me when you said, oh, beautiful finished project. How's the job cost report look? That smacked me right in between the eyeballs. Good. I'm glad you listened to this, and I'm glad I ranted about this, and I'm glad I got your attention. Now do something with it. Dig in there and hack together a job cost report, study it, learn from it, and then streamline. Continue to streamline and improve your job costing. It is vitally important. I think that's it for today, folks. There's the Remodelers on the Rise show. I do have a lovely course that's going to be coming out here in the near future called Remodel Your Numbers, where I kind of walk you through step by step all the numbers side of your business. And we definitely, believe it or not, have a full section in there about job costing, which you can imagine will be part of it. Right. Cool. That's it. A couple of other final thoughts. Oh, you're married? Cool. Take your significant other or spouse on a date. You're really busy. Number 2, it's beautiful outside. Spring is springing. Go for a walk. Take 10 minutes, clear your mind, leave your phone behind, and just go breathe some fresh air. Think about your priorities. Come up with a game plan for the rest of your day. That always helps me. Another thought, eat your frog. We all have too many things going on. What we need to do is to identify the most important thing we need to get done that we're most likely to put off, and we need to identify that and eat that first thing every morning. Your days will be so much more enjoyable. And one other final thought, you have team members around you, whether they are employees, whether they are trade partners and subs, whether they're vendors. Take a few minutes, send a few text messages, maybe make a call, and let them know how appreciative you are of the help and the work that they do for you. And I think that's it. I could come up with another several, but I think that's going to be it. And I am looking at this banner that says, good work isn't cheap, and cheap work isn't good. Let that inspire you. Maybe raise your prices 2%. Go into your spreadsheets right now and raise your prices 2%. You're telling me you're not going to sign that job still if you add 2%? I think you will. And by golly, when you extrapolate that 2% throughout the full year, you're going to realize that there's a lot more gross profit and hopefully net profit at the end of the day. All right, that's it. Have a wonderful rest of your day.